This is Anime, I'm Will, and this time I'm going to be talking about Hyouka. Hyouka is definitely one of my top 5 animes, and it's a detective anime, and I'm really fond of detective fiction. It's one of my favourite things, and I actually watched this before I watched Detective Conan, and one of the things I like about it, compared to a lot of detective animes out there like Detective Conan and things like that, is the fact that it's not very wide scale. It doesn't look at murders and stuff like that. It looks at sort of more genuine and realistic and common mysteries. Not saying that murder isn't necessarily realistic. It's possible, but Detective Conan is quite abstract. Anyway, Hyouka centres around a quite boring boy who is in his second year of high school, and he doesn't want a very active life. He wants to sort of laze around doing nothing in particular. He is forced by his sister to join the literature club, where he meets Chitanda Eru, who is I think I pronounced that right, is a noble lady, and the daughter of a noble lady, and also here an old school friend who they nicknamed the Database because of his random knowledge of trivia, and finally a kind of bossy old acquaintance called Mayaka, who far more wants to be in the manga club but doesn't really have the skills for it. They then go on to solve these mysteries involving stuff like where did the original name of the magazine come from, which is the initial story, which I kind of... It's interesting, and I think it's really cool how they solve it and what it means, but it's not by far not the best one. Then after that they solve sort of more common stories, like that's the main part of the plot. Then they solve a story about a film, and they also solve a mystery based on the ABC murders by Agatha Christie, which is actually what made me read that, but that's another story entirely. Now, one thing I really like about this series, about sort of how the mysteries are told and things like that, is it's actually based on a true story. I don't know how true to the main character it was, but the person who wrote Hyouka was actually writing a semi-autobiographical story about what he actually did in high school, and about his time in this sort of rural town, and how sort of life was quite boring for him, and then they found these mysteries and things, and he solved them. The mysteries are based on actual mysteries he solved, and it's based on true events, and I think that reflects in the stories by having very believable events that happen in the mystery, sort of things they use to find out, the way the characters interact. It's all very realistic, and it makes it sort of a very, very clean story, which you don't so often see. Also, which presents it with a really big strength with Hyouka, is its soundtrack. It's got quite a sort of classical style soundtrack with famous symphonies and things like that, which really add to the more peaceful and rural nature of it, and add to the whole atmosphere, and about how it's human interactions and things like that. As I said, Hyouka is one of my top 5, and it is such a beautifully crafted anime that I would really recommend watching it. And yeah, please like, comment and subscribe.